Apps is able to get himself involved in. You already know Chicago's going to be all over getting scoring opportunities, as you know, we talked about it a little bit. Over 80% in RLCS, but in the game number one, can the newly promoted Complexity and the hotshot Flakes take down some veterans of the North American RLCS scene.
And I have to agree with Gibbs. It feels like Complexity does have the upper hand here, the hot hand at least, just qualifying for RLCS and doing it in dominating in phenomenal fashion. They've looked their best through their promotion tournament. Can they find that same magic here in DreamHack?
Oh, Magnus and Greasy kind of on top of each other, and a hopping ball near the middle. Flake's going to come in and keep the pressure going. Free clear for G2, contested by Greasy, but JNAP's able to win out. Demo in the net, they'll tap Magnus out of the way. Unfortunately, third man a little too far. Rizzo in his own worries right now, and actually they peeled off the bump. Rizzo got a free challenge.
And G2's got to be careful. That counterattack from Complexity moving down the field so quickly. JNAP's going for that bump, pulls him out of the rotation, and Complexity did a good job to counter and put the pressure on. Luckily, G2's last defender could make the play.
Pass across to Rizzo, unfortunately going nowhere. Follow up by Chicago off the backboard, and free clear for Greasy. Demo from Magnus will get a small window to work with for Flakes. He will punch it down into the corner while Complexity resets. Rizzo up the field, flip reset, can't quite find it though, and just didn't have that last touch to tip it in. Here comes JNAPs though off the backboard. Chicago one more chance into the left side. Excuse me, Rizzo, my mistake. And on the board are G2.
And all of Complexity just get tied up in their own net. You can see Flakes falling off the ceiling of his own goal, and then G2 just battering the back wall. It finally goes through for Rizzo, and G2 on the board first.
So a great start for G2. That pressure slowly building at the start of the game. And now we'll see what they can accomplish here. Flakes out of the corner, bar and out. Rizzo to clear, and Magnus trying to get that bump. Steals away that corner boost. And the pressure continuing here for Complexity.
And Flakes showing a little bit of scary play coming out from him. He's known to have fantastic solo plays in these big pressure games. Showing just a little bit there in front of the G2 net. G2 able to make the save, and there they come back the other way. G2 trying to find some more pressure as Complexity now in the midfield getting a pass towards the corner.
And Chicago not really able to get possession as much as he's been used to during the RLCS. Currently trying to figure out how to handle these teams across the way, because Chicago has fairly limited international experience. But he seems to be holding up fairly well so far. We'll just see if he can get that same level of effectiveness that he had over in the North American side of things.
But he's got some of the best international experience, too, coming out in the World Championships. That's a big miss from G2 in front of the Complexity net. Complexity struggling to get the ball out here. All three committed on the play. Now G2 trying to strike. Are you kidding me with that touch from Rizzo? It goes in. All smiles for G2 as they get a second goal.
Oh, it feels like WSOE. Just give him the ball and then something crazy is going to happen. Rizzo, right? That's a free one. JNAP.
Absolutely calculated there for G2. And you can see by their reactions, happy to see it go through. And now finding themselves up by 2. Greasy in the midfield trying to pick this one up. Tries to go under 1. Tried to threaten to go over the top. Here's Magnus now. He's been doing well for Complexity. Move the ball down the field. Letting Greasy and Flakes do their thing.
Oh, nice demo from Magnus. Gives a free chance for Rizzo, and left side right towards Flakes. Able to tip that one to safety. Out into the middle for Magnus. Upfield, he's got Flakes redirecting into a wide open net. Complexity finally on the board.
And you can tell that this was going to be a little bit scary for G2 on the back end. After a poor touch comes out from JNAPs, it goes back to the middle of the field, and Complexity jump on it. Flakes goes downfield to receive the pass down from Magnus. And they're finally on the board here, able to respond back after G2 built a 2-goal lead.
And Flakes in charge of the kickoff. Got a little bit of piece of Greasy on the way through, and that almost allowed G2 to find the back of the net and put a ton of pressure on Complexity to have to force their way into a tie. Rizzo, some space to work with.
So far, Rizzo 100% goal participation. So he heard Gibbs, and Jay Knapp's getting this one to the back of the net as well off the demolition from Rizzo. And G2 now in the lead, back up by 2.
Job not done. Challenged in the midfield. Witten stole the boost and realized we've got an opportunity here to take the goalie out and open the door. And of course, J-Nap's more than capable of putting that into the back. And a huge insurance goal for G2.
Complexity a little bit slow to react there. Great pinch coming up from Magnus here. A minute left on the clock. Time for Complexity to get back into this first game. 2 go here. Magnus waiting patiently for that clear to come out from G2, but it's a great pass between the G2 players, and downfield as J-Naps off the crossbar. Complexity almost caught out there.
Well, Magnus trying to get things going back with little time. Double commit, though, and this is going to be pretty much open back the other way if they get through Magnus. So close, but doing just enough to buy a few precious moments. And Complexity, again, that strong counterattack is coming through. Uncontested near the top of the box. Magnus finally had to get through on that second effort. It was that first touch that really needed to be in.
All 3 of G2 wrapped up in their own net there, similar to what Complexity was doing early on in this game. Complexity not able to capitalize. Now seeing a couple double commits coming out from Complexity as well. A little jumpy on the offensive end. And with 10 seconds left, time's ticking down. Complexity's got to go. Another opportunity goes by as Magnus free-jumped that play. Couldn't get to it.
Strong passes off of the corner, but unfortunately, not enough time remaining. Complexity not able to break down that midfield at G2. And Chicago, Rizzo, and J-Naps will be afforded the victory here. And Chicago, I think this is the first time all season I've seen him not be involved in a goal in the game.
Yeah, it's a little strange to see, especially after the desk harped on Rizzo not being a part of a lot of these goals, a part of all 3 here for G2 in game number 1. And I have to say, Complexity absolutely had chances downfield. They just couldn't convert. And now taking a replay of this goal from G2. I mean, it comes right off of Rizzo, and you can see the reaction. And then the counter downfield here from Complexity, Magnus down to Flakes, and the recognition to know that that counterattack play is feasible. Complexity doing well there, but again, a demo comes out for G2, and they're able to put this game away with their 3rd goal. But again, it felt like Complexity did have opportunity on the offensive end. There was a couple double commits that came out. There was just a couple misses in front of the top of the box. They just couldn't put shots on target.
Yeah, I actually really think that Complexity had a lot of freedom to work with balls out of the corner, and they did a great job of getting those balls out into the middle of the pitch. It was just, again, someone always there to finally challenge right at that point, or again, the shot accuracy really coming back to haunt them. 5 shots for Flakes, only 1 on the board, but in general, Flakes, it was good to see him perform as well as he did as well, because Flakes has, to say the least, some limited land experience compared to everybody else on this pitch.
And he just qualified for RLCS as well.
He's having a week.
So, yeah, it's a great week, and it's something that we give a lot of the teams that comes out of the promotion tournament from last week. Yeah, they might have the hot hand here, but Complexity dropping game number 1 to G2.
Wake-up call.
Wake-up call, definitely, as we get things kicked off in game number 2.
Oh, Rizzo will dribble safely across his net. And ball for G2 going to be turned aside by Flakes. Again, that quick counterattack. Double tap for Greasy. Can't find it inside the posts. And Magnus will try and keep things going here for Complexity.
G2 trying to find a way out here. Ball given away to Greasy. And you can see Greasy and Flakes supporting each other on the defensive end. Nothing getting through. Complexity. A little bit of a stutter there, and Magnus able to clear it downfield. Now G2 might have an opportunity, but Chicago's broken up. Now the counterattack's on for Complexity, trying to find the back wall. Rizzo does get up there and turn it away.
Oh, J-Nap's not able to find the continuation, though. That means Flakes has a free ball. Rizzo and Chicago have a bit of a miscommunication about things, and maybe that will allow Magnus to get through. But again, J-Naps, we always tout him for that offensive capability, but he is especially proud of how he plays out of the net. And he shuts down a chance there for Complexity. Long touch upfield, and Chicago gets his hands on it out to Rizzo. And G2 trying to find a way past this midfield line. Haven't had much success early on in game 2 in that department.
Complexity definitely speeding things up here in game 2. A lot of these clears are just balls given away by G2, but this one given up to Chicago, and now G2 possibly finding some holes in the offense, or the defense, excuse me, of Complexity. Back the other way. This one's going to drop down on the goal line. G2 able to clear this one out.
And Flakes was trying to read that touch coming off that top corner. He was so close. He was just off the line and wasn't able to get back in front of it. Greasy wins a solid challenge. Rizzo on the second effort gets it back into that Complexity corner. Chicago to lend a helping hand, and Magnus now trying to find a gap. Out into the middle, Magnus tips straight up. Means G2 should be able to get their hands on it and actually give a little bit of ground. Let Chicago hand it right to them down the gut. An easy save for JNAPS. Up to Chicago. Backboard wants two and not on target. Magnus will have a chance to clear, and Complexity now trying to rally.
And the poor clear from Complexity opens up the space in the midfield for G2 to pull off that play. G2 still now on the attack as we approach halftime here. Magnus, low boost to work with, just opts to pop that one up. Greasy the long clear down, and Rizzo actually side flips, open up the space for Magnus to come through, and Complexity on the board first.
Unfortunate for Rizzo. It's again a monster clear up the pitch, and it was indeed Rizzo who was going to have first dibs at it. But looking at his camera, I'm not even sure if he was going to make it up to that ball. That was just absolutely blasted by Greasy off the backboard.
So a great clear turns into a goal for Complexity. Now just at the halfway mark, and Complexity still pressing on here. JNAPS, he takes this one into an air dribble. Met by Magnus. Chicago down off the ceiling. G2 trying to fight back, trying to find an answer here. This ball just popped up. Slow to contest from both sides here. The Flakes does throw it downfield for Complexity.
Flakes hounding that orange boost, trying to not allow G2 anything in the tank to hold on to and really be able to chase that ball down after they get that first touch. And around the corner, solid touch again from Greasy. Well controlled out of their own half, our Complexity. Always able to seemingly find a gap, almost pinched directly into the G2 net. Rizzo thankful that that one just skittered harmlessly across the mouth of the goal. But G2 struggling to hang on to the ball as they just a little bit late to some of these challenges.
And again, it's about that speed from Complexity. Changing it up here in game number 2, and it's paid off so far, getting the first goal. It's been a contested game here. Flakes now, an opportunity off the back wall. It's just Chicago now. Greasy Meister, does he have an open net? He absolutely does. G2 nowhere to be found, and Complexity double their lead.
That's because Flakes goes straight down to the ground here. He says, you know what, there's no chance I'm going to be able to track that one down off the double tap. Chicago has me beat, gets himself on the floor, catches a bit of extra speed, and just outpaces Chicago to that ball.
And Greasy, part of both goals here. No surprise, still keeping up that phenomenal play that we saw last weekend. Leaking over here into DreamHack now. Complexity, a minute left to tie up the series. This ball high in the midfield. Flanks off his own back wall. G2 still trying to break down the defense of Complexity, who have stood very strong here in game 2. They were a little shaky on defense in game number 1, but things have absolutely cleaned up for them.
And G2 they've mustered 5 shots, but you really don't remember too many of them, to be honest. Feels like they might have just been circumstantial. And absolutely a much more well-controlled game from Complexity in terms of the challenge game. But finally, here's a chance to maybe get things going in the final 30 seconds. Kicked all the way into that corner. They just can't hang on to the ball. And in shots like that, that's a lot of the touches from G2 towards the net that you've seen in game number 2.
Time ticking down. G2 haven't really put anything together. Like you said, they do have shots on the board, but nothing to show for it. 5 seconds left. Complexity just running out the clock now. Magnus decides to pop this one up and take it away from G2, and they will tie up the series here in a very quality game coming out from Complexity.
I'm with you. Wonderful game 2 from Complexity, and finally the ball will indeed touch the floor. And so, you guys are watching here and you're not sure who to root for. Complexity just bought out by the Dallas Cowboys.
Look at those jackets.
I know.
Those are slick.
It's slick. And of course, G2 going to have to be able to find some answers. And that is it. That is the play. And that is why they came out on top on game number... No, of course not. It was Flakes being an absolute monster in game number 2. Greasy as well. Phenomenal game 2 performance. Again, that monster clear that started things off. Still don't even think Rizzo had a chance at it. And then the follow-up touch, Flakes on the great recovery effort. beating Chicago to that ball. And again, G2 maybe stretching things a little too thin, trying to get the offense going back the other way.
I was just about to say that. You know, they kind of left it on Chicago there on that last play, or last replay, to make the play on defense.
And you can understand why you'd have a lot of faith in a guy like Chicago. He's been phenomenal in that department all season long.
But Flake's just too fast there. So Complexity, they tie up the series. And sure, they don't blow out G2 here in game 2. But again, it's a quality win here for Complexity. Everything seemed to be working. Greasy Meister was on his mark. And while Flakes didn't score a goal, he had an assist and was crucial in building that lead and playing so well for Complexity. So now we have to break the deadlock between these two teams in this series. So we send them to the pinch once more.
And it all starts with the challenge game, I believe, here. Because G2, like you said, that speed really upped a couple notches for Complexity. So how will G2 respond? And the kickoff is going to be favoring Flakes because Magnus caught a big piece of JNAPS on that kickoff. Unfortunately, the next challenge going horribly for Complexity, and they're kind of in damage control mode right now as they try to just not allow anything too crazy. Double commit. Flakes tips it out to the side. Rizzo into the mid, and somebody there, Greasy Meister, able to come up with a stop.
G2 on the attack first, still pressing on off the back wall. Magnus misses his touch. It's up to Greasy now. G2 still can't find the back of the net.
Those are the ones that make you catch your breath when it skims over your car like that. Slow roller off the mark, and Flakes, again, like you said, just dethroned Fairy Peak on the dribble upfield. Again, little fake catch, nice play, and it beats JNAPS as well, but he places the ball improperly.
Makes the save still, and JNAPS, a hero for G2 here in game 3. A beautiful play set up from Flakes. He got the fake and set up his team for success, but it was JNAPS who stayed with it and just got a touch. Now back the other way, G2 trying to make Complexity pay. Here's Rizzo. He's thrown away. Now Magnus trying to find possession in his final third here. JNAPS waiting on the back wall. The shot does come through, and another dunk comes out. JNAPS just throwing himself downfield, looking for his teammates to follow it up, and the bounce goes towards net. Turned away by Chicago.
Definitely some physicality coming out from Complexity, trying to open a small gap in the midfield. Unfortunately, Chicago's been an absolute monster. Rizzo staying right behind the ball, can't quite get it cleanly. Pass to the top, and JNAPS, understandably so, cautious about that approach. Complexity were right on that, and he didn't want to take the risk of losing the ball and getting scored on.
It was the right play, but the pass was too far out in front of him, and like you said, didn't want to take the chance on losing that challenge or just getting beat outright. Here's Greasy carrying this one across the field. JNAPS waiting up the wall. He does win the challenge. Here's Chicago looking for Rizzo. He's there on the midfield line. The shot comes through, turned away by Flakes.
Still G2 pressing, and already a much better showing in game number 3, about halfway through. Far more offense for G2, and another shot on target. That one kicked off the bar. Follow through is kept aside as well. Magnus and Greasy team up to kick that one into the corner. Flakes now finally finding a hole and get some breathing room for the Complexity boys as they will reset on their own half. Magnus again, 2 now in game number 3, where he can't get the handle on the ball and allows G2 to come storming off the midfield line.
And because Magnus missed that touch, Greasy tried to bring that ball down, but he just wasn't ready for it. And G2 jump on him. Still a lot of attack coming out from G2 here, controlling the midfield and controlling the Complexity third as well. Shot after shot, attack after attack. Here's JNAPS over to Rizzo, drops it down off the crossbar. The follow-up's there, turned away by the Complexity defense.
They're running into each other, though. Complexity desperately needed clear, and they finally might have just found it. They've got Greasy Meister on the side. Wallies wants the ceiling shot. Rizzo going to take that away before anything can get started. And Chicago punches one off the backboard. JNAPS waiting just in case. Rizzo so fast as that third man, keeping the pressure up for G2. And we said we wanted speed in the challenge game. We absolutely got it. And Complexity are hanging on.
Barely, though. 7 saves in this game spread out between the Complexity players. G2 only had to make 2. It's been JNAPS on both of them. 1.5 minutes left. And Complexity really haven't shown too much life here on the offensive side of things. Here's Flakes trying to go find the back wall. Rizzo able to turn that one away, and here comes G2.
For how long it comes down to who wins this next ball. It'll be JNAPS actually uncontested, but he hands the ball out to Greasy Meister. Put him under pressure, though, and forced him to make an awkward touch. Magnus a little bit caught out almost And Rizzo thankfully couldn't get one on target. Almost back to an open net the other way. Flakes has to make an adjustment and buy some time. Was hoping for a kick straight to him, and Complexity were so close.
Just off the mark for Complexity. Downfield, beat all of G2. They left the goal wide open. Here comes Flakes now, brings it down. Can't go past JNaps though.
Continuing to build the pressure on Complexity. Rizzo, soft loft to himself. Needs help though on this follow through. Won't have it, and Flakes with a free clear. Overtime looming as we hit the final 30. Magnus probably going to be unable to hang with that. Greasy called upon in the net. To the middle, free ball for Chicago. Towards the top right, save from Magnus. Again, double committing on defense are Complexity, but they still find a way to get this ball down to the other end.
Now 10 saves for Complexity in this game. And at least if you're making those saves, you've kept the scoreline clean so far. But what about the offense? Greasy now, 2 seconds left. This one's going to drop down. And nobody from Complexity can make the touch. We're going to a 0-0 overtime in Game 3.
And a desperately needed reset for Complexity as well. If Magnus gets asked to catch the ball on his own third, we'll see if he can get a handle on it and actually break Complexity out and get the offense started here in this overtime.
12 shots for G2. Count another one, make it 13. 20 seconds into overtime, Magnus pitches this one nicely downfield, but Complexity just have no one to follow it up. Flakes wondering what JNaps is going to do for it. Almost a double commit coming out from Complexity. Magnus backflips to prevent himself from going up after it. Complexity still not finding any possession. JNaps tried to drop that one down for a midfielder, but nobody from G2 was there.
And Greasy just able to pop that over Chicago. Flakes with a follow through. Backboard, no help though. Actually, finally coming across was Magnus, and G2 indeed not able to make it back. You thought maybe for a moment, but not quite.
And there's been 2 or 3 times here in this game where G2 were all pressed out of their own box, and Complexity finally capitalize here and take game number 3 and put G2 on match point.
And what a way to hold on in that one as well, because my goodness, that first 5 minutes was just brutal on defense.
It is 10 saves for Complexity.
To 13 shots.
13 shots from G2. That's the one that goes in for Complexity on your screen. Magnus just carving it out for Complexity. And G2, you feel like you could have had this win. You should have had this win, really, because with all the pressure that they had and a couple close calls there on the Complexity defensive side, just couldn't break the defense. They stood tall, and Complexity come out with the win.
And a well-earned one at that. Despite looking scrappy is the word I want on defense, there were a lot of double commits on that. You even saw hints of it after they got that reset on offense. They had to get themselves sorted, and then it all sort of fell into place as they finally broke out of their half and were able to get things started. But G2, that was that is the best way to lose a game. You played phenomenally,
yeah,
and then you just gave up an open net, unfortunately.
That's really the thing, is I look back on G2's gameplay, and it's all good. It really wasn't a bad game for G2. You just got to find the holes on the defense for Complexity, put it where they're not on the goal line there, and still couldn't break it down. So that's really the big change for G2, is just find the holes on defense, put it away, because you have the pressure, you have the shots,
but
you have Complexity double committed.
Can they keep it up is the question, because you really imagine Complexity are going to come out here and be like, all right, hang on. Let's make sure we control at least our own corner boosts, and then we won't be so pressed for time when we're trying to get in position on defense. And that might sort things out. So we'll see if G2 is able to replicate that great offensive pressure, or if Complexity will be able to start off in much better standing here in Game 4. And already an early shot denied easily by G2, but does it bode of what's to no, it does not. JNaps, that was gross.
That was a disgusting goal coming out from JNaps. Takes his first touch and then gets a second one just as it comes off the wall to keep it close. And the defender at the near post just had no idea that was coming. And he puts it in by himself. Complexity, or excuse me, G2 gets the first goal.
How can you know that's coming? That's out of nowhere. If you're in net, and a chance for Complexity equalize off the kickoff denied. But man, that's one opener to give away. And a beautiful shot from JNaps. Rizzo upfield now. Into the corner is going to need a little bit of assistance. Not going to find it. Greasy Meister popped high in front for Magnus. Chicago going to have to give the ball away a little bit. G2 finding some resources. Double commit, though. And that means Complexity will have a bit of extra time. Actually, everybody comes up empty. And again, that quick counterattack from Complexity coming through, turned aside by JNaps. And they will get a handle on the ball and make sure to take it on a dribble.
G2 could be happy finding this first goal here after all the pressure they had in game 3. Here comes Complexity now. Greasy over Chicago. Magnus can't find the touch. Flakes goes as well, so everyone committed on Complexity. Greasy, as he rotates back, has to cut that pass off. G2 back to their own corner.
So already Complexity turning the tables a little bit comparatively to the last game. G2 now the ones trying to find a clear and hang on to it. Bounce off the backboard, a little bit of a space found by Chicago on that nice long clear. Top of the box and cleared aside. Greasy again, all series long. Monster clears from his own half.
He really is doing so well on really both ends of the field. Here's G2 with a shot. Greasy again making that save. Complexity finding themselves on their defensive side more often than not here, but doing well to push these shots away. G2 still, while they do have their goal, firing off a lot of shots that Complexity forced to make saves, and they are making them. Now Greasy pops this one up. Magnus forced to go back. Chicago's there trying to receive the pass. Can't do so. Here comes Complexity. Flakes trying to get a touch there. Rizzo is just floating by. Now Magnus pops this one up. Greasy Meister waiting patiently to see how this play develops. G2 do go down the field.
We've entered into that sort of limbo state of Rocket League. There's a nasty hop, though, off the backboard. Allows chance for Rizzo, and yes, sir, we'll see you later. Punch him out of the way and score the goal.
A big fake, that's all it was from JNaps as he goes down and then turns right around as he knew his teammate was going to get that shot through and just punches Magnus out of the way. G2 now build their lead to 2. 2 minutes and 13 seconds left. What do Complexity have to respond with?
Well, not much off the kickoff. Thankfully, a miss from G2 allows them to try a long pass to Magnus. It's circling around on that midfield line. Rizzo can't really get a good handle on it. Pops it back into the opposite corner across from Chicago. JNap's going to lose the race in the midfield. Magnus to Greasy. Chicago already on top of it, but a little too slow, and Rizzo asked to make the save.
Magnus over to Flakes. Trying to put something together is Complexity. G2 standing strong on defense. 1.5 minutes left now. Shot comes through from Magnus. And a big miss on defense from G2. And it goes in for Complexity.
I believe it was Rizzo on the goal line. Disaster for G2. And oh, wow. What? They're all smiles about that one. They were like, Rizzo, what are you doing, man? That was great.
So unfortunately for G2, they give up a weak goal there. Complexity given one there. Now Chicago goes under one. Can he pop it over the last man? No, a big save on the goal line. Complexity stand tall.
And they give themselves a chance as we head into the final minute 20. Plenty of time to find one more. And opportunity. Magnus can't get around in front of it. Flakes going to be looking for a pass out of the corner. Second touch to try and beat some extra defenders. No dice, and a long clear from Chicago off his own side wall.
1 minute left. Lots of time for Complexity to put something together. No reason to rush it. Chicago trying to end it. Put another one away. The pass out from Rizzo doesn't come through. G2 still hanging around in the Complexity end. Here's Chicago once more. Now Rizzo on the far side. It's broken up by Magnus. 30 seconds left. Complexity. Now this is when you start thinking about time. You only need one goal, so you just need one break, one good play. And this could be it. Greasy Meister down. Magnus was there. G2's defense still.
Tough defense from Rizzo as well. Awkward scenario coming around that backboard. Pass to Magnus in the corner, and Rizzo already on it. 10 seconds. They're going to have to do it in the air. Up high, JNaps to Greasy, and they just don't have anybody over there waiting for the ball. Thankfully, Rizzo does him a favor. He's trying to kill it straight down. Help from Greasy. It's towards the backboard, and Rizzo wisely just drive it straight into the floor. So he hands him a goal, but he will secure the game at the end of the day. And G2 are forcing game number 5. And this complexity, you come out of the rival series and you say, all right, it's good to see a couple of you back. Flakes are the new kid on the block. And they're putting G2 through the ringer.
I'm not surprised by a game 5 between these two teams. We knew that complexity would come in hot. Taking a look at the replays here, it was G2 and JNaps. Look at the shot. The poise to stay with that play and go past the defender on the near post. And then JNaps, again, a big miss. But then he turns right around and bumps Magnus out of the way. An open net for Rizzo. G2 finally finding the back of the net here.
And that's all JNaps. JNaps had both of those goals, that first one, and they got one back. They gave themselves time for complexity, but not enough. Unfortunately, couldn't find a way through. Just that absolute brick wall that, again, was JNaps on defense. He had 4 saves in that game. So game 4 belonging to the man with a knapsack. And Chicago going to see what he can do in game number 5. I feel like he's been relatively quiet the entire series. I still don't think he's been involved in a goal yet, and I'm correct.
He has been a little quiet, but you know who hasn't? Rizzo.
He's been around, to say it lightly.
He hurt Gibbs. And another game of 100% goal participation here for Rizzo. Showing up here for G2 against complexity. So, you know, when G2, we always talk about JNaps, we talk about Chicago. We've always put Rizzo as that third man, but he has shown up today, not only finding the back of the net, but assisting his teammates as well. And you just need one more to close out the series.
And it really is that support out of the midfield where it's making the biggest difference, keeping that pressure on complexity. And thankfully, he's also been the beneficiary as he wins another challenge right there. Here comes JNaps. He will lose the race, and Flakes will find a clear. But not quite, as Chicago already lurking in the right spot on the field. And Magnus now tasked with it. Goes through 1, but can't get through 2. Flakes again. Struggling to win these challenges. It's been a brick wall a little bit. That midfield line, they punch it to space, but they have to, it costs them possession.
Dangerous from JNaps here as he curls around the ball. Complexity saw that one all the way through, though. Greasy, another long clear. Seen a couple of those, one resulting in a goal. Now Magnus pushing this one on. Flakes win. Now Greasy's up the speed, turning up for complexity here as Magnus. He's got a free ball coming out, tried to go under Chicago, but he does make the save.
A good idea for Magnus. Try and go under him, but Chicago just covering too many options with that positioning on the challenge. And a delayed hit trying to go behind Greasy. And again, another bump will force complexity to stretch all the way to get to that one. And the physicality continues to try and open a few gaps, but maybe they caught him stretching too far again. JNaps just in time.
Well, we've seen it a few games back. G2 have been caught out on transition. Complexity doing a good job here as another shot comes through. Magnus is up for this one. He's flipping around. Going to get a second touch. No. Chicago turns this one away. And G2 now on the attack in transition. Complexity trying to slow these plays up and get back into rotation. They do so here. And now G2's got to go through the whole team. Another bump comes through and a demo. The shot goes off the crossbar. Everything happening for G2. They can't find the back of the net.
Great defense from Complexity. There were so many bumps that were forcing players out of position, and Greasy had to make a tough save there, diving across his goal. So well done to Complexity to hold off that push from G2. But can they win the ball back? It's actually, again, Rizzo on the midfield line. Can he wants the delayed touch. He goes to the back post. It's bouncing around, and that will be JNaps to punch it home. Yes, sir, G2 will score first to game 5.
This is a fantastic play from Rizzo. He just waits for Magnus to go up into the corner, plays it off the post. Maybe he was trying to put it away, but still comes out to JNaps. The support coming through for G2, and they're on the board first.
Rizzo demonstrating the mind games to a T. Greasy off the kickoff. What a beautiful read off the side wall.
How do you respond, Complexity? Well, you do it off the kickoff. Magnus wins it, and Greasy so fast to get to this ball. G2 couldn't react, and we're tied up just like that.
Instant answer, and Complexity are not done yet. So we finally find our way back to where you'd like it to see, deadlocked and maybe overtime here in 2.5 minutes. But Chicago, Rizzo, and JNaps might have something to say. Complexity, currently the owners of possession, but they just launch it upfield. Thankfully, it's given right back. Chicago in an awkward spot. Here
Still
comes Greasy Meister, tries to go under him again, and Chicago well challenged twice.
Things have been ramped up to 11 here between both these teams. Speed has picked up, shot accuracy accuracy and tough saves coming out from both sides. Flakes now past 2. The bumps coming through. G2 still able to make the save. This one's on target. Saved off the crossbar from JNaps. And G2 now on the transition.
And Greasy just flips one up into the corner. Actually, they circle a little bit. Magnus, he took that one away from JNaps. Was not about to try and go right through him. Was going to really put his team in an awkward spot if he lost, but they still lose it in their own corner. And across the goal mouth, Chicago had nobody waiting, but can't really blame him. Blasted right into the middle. Here comes Chicago. He's too slow. And now it's maybe that complexity counterattack, but they need some boost. And Rizzo is a gent about it. Nice enough to hand Magnus the ball.
And complexity up to 11 shots here to G2's 5. G2 have forced to make 9 saves in this game so far. A minute and a half left. All tied up, knotted between these two teams. Magnus, he's got support to his right. JNaps shuts that one down, picks up full boost. What can he do with this? He's turned away by Flakes.
Oh, what a demo from JNaps, taking away the support. As soon as that ball fell off Flakes' hood, he lost all potential in that 1v1. He had to go for the pass. And just a beautiful demo from JNaps to take that option away. And G2 get out of a little bit of a jam.
Less than a minute. G2 fighting up from their own end. Here's Rizzo. He's got help in the midfield. Chicago's up, met by Greasy Meister. He goes over one, off the back wall. JNaps is there. Can he beat the defender? Tried to go under him once again. Flakes turns that away, but G2 still pressing on. Here's Rizzo. Can't find the target.
Oh, a little bump on JNaps to force him off the ball, and another piece taken out of Rizzo, but Flakes gets turned around in the process and allows Chicago up. Try and challenge this ball. Magnus able to beat out Chicago onto the midfield line. Went for that delayed challenge against Rizzo. Flakes wants one into the middle, but he can't get all the way around it. Just flops one into the corner. And that will allow G2 some space. So we're about to enter juicy overtime. As the final 10 going to tick down here, it'll be G2 pressing, but a great stop by Greasy in the midfield line, one-on-one, and an aggressive challenge from JNaps at limited time. Dangerous indeed, back post and kicked out. That will indeed be extra time.
And again, not surprised, a Game 5 overtime between Complexity and G2. We wouldn't want it any other way. Chicago from the attacking corner. Can he drop it down? He does get the dunk. No follow-up from G2, and Complexity can get it away.
Magnus just forced to try and cover as much distance as possible, but this is a trap that Complexity were falling into earlier on in the series, and thankfully Greasy able to find a hole. Beautiful lift from Chicago. JNaps might be a little slow, and Magnus makes the adjustment on the challenge. Well done, but Rizzo pinches it back the opposite direction. Thankfully, Chicago in position. Ball for Magnus, top of the box, denied by JNaps. Chicago trying to get back, takes a piece out of Greasy. Rizzo almost tips it right into him, and Chicago makes a huge stop in the corner of the net. And on no boost, way to stay with it.
Still dangerous now on the transition, but everyone went from G2. It's just Rizzo back. Flakes wins the challenge. He's got JNaps in front of him. JNaps makes the save. Now back the other way, G2 opportunity, Chicago. The pass down from JNaps, and again across the box, but Complexity patient with this ball, but give it up, and it's open. Rizzo puts it away, and G2 take the series.
A wonderful battle between these two teams. Magnus was going, but JNaps took a big chunk out of him. And G2 come away with a wonderful win here in game number 5.
Wow.
And what a series for that man right there. Chicago had a tough battle all the way through, but JNaps and Rizzo, the real MVPs.
Wow, so the clear was coming from Magnus, but a big bump comes out from G2 just to throw him off the mark, just enough. And G2, that is the difference between G2 and Complexity here today on day 1.
Physical.
A physical play, a Game 5 overtime. G2 able to clutch up even after making 11 saves in Game 5.
Absolutely. If there was one aspect of the pitch that G2 absolutely won in, it was 100% the physicality, the bumps, the demos. Those were absolutely in their favor. But the defense and the astonishment from all of G2. But a great series overall from Rizzo, JNaps, and Chicago. A well-deserved win for them against Complexity. Head held high, tough series. But that is going to be it for us from this series, and when we come back, we'll continue on with day 1 of DreamHack Dallas. You're watching the Pro Circuit. We'll be back in a couple minutes.